At one major university, a sports agent arranged for a quid pro quo among Adidas, the college's men's basketball program, and a top high school prospect in which the player's family would receive $100,000 if he committed to the school and signed with the apparel giant once he turned pro. At another college, the basketball team's associate head coach accepted nearly $100,000 to steer his team's top players to a financial advisor eager to manage their future NBA riches. At a third, a top assistant set up a similar arrangement, promising to trade his access to players for bribes. Some of it can't be completely accounted for on paper, the sports agent said in urging discretion about one of the deals, because some of it is, whatever you want to call it, illegal. These and many more allegations were revealed in a series of complaints made public by federal investigators in New York on Tuesday. The complaints depict a thriving black market for teenage athletes, one in which coaches, agents, financial advisors and shoe company employees trade on the trust of players and exploit their inability to be openly compensated because of N.C.A.A. Amateurism rules. College basketball has a long, baroque history of malfeasance involving under-the-table deals, but rarely, if ever, have federal investigators exposed such widespread corruption. The closest analog is probably the point-shaving scandals of the early 1950s, said Rodney K. Smith, a law professor who has studied the history of the N.C.A.A. For these men, bribing coaches was a business investment. June H. Kim, the acting United States Attorney for the Southern District of New York, said while announcing federal bribery, fraud and other corruption charges. They knew corrupt coaches, in return for bribes, would pressure the players to use their services. They also knew that if and when those young players turned pro, that would mean big bucks for them. This vision of what Kim called the dark underbelly of college basketball led to the arrests of nearly a dozen people, including 4 Division I assistant coaches and the global marketing director for Adidas basketball. Kim said the investigation was continuing, and the disclosures made on Tuesday seemed to promise further revelations of wrongdoing that could upend one of the country's most popular sports, whose annual tournament provides the N.C.A.A. with the vast majority of its income. Across 3 complaints, 2 broad schemes were alleged. One involved bribing 4 assistant coaches, at Arizona, Auburn, Oklahoma State, and Southern California, all programs in the so-called Power 5 conferences of college sports, to persuade players to send business to certain financial advisors once they turned professional. The other involved efforts to secretly funnel money from Adidas to 3 players and their families in exchange for the players' commitments to play at 2 Adidas-sponsored college programs and to later sign sponsorship deals with the company once they turned pro. The latter complaint said a senior Adidas executive, Jim Gatto, was in on an agreement to pay about $100,000 to the family of player 10, a heavily recruited high school standout, to steer him to a particular college. While neither the player nor the university was named, descriptions of the institution matched the University of Louisville, which this summer signed a 10-year, $160 million apparel contract with Adidas. Louisville's men's basketball program is currently on N.C.A.A. probation over a scandal in which prostitutes were used to entice recruits in on-campus housing. The university is appealing some of those penalties, which were announced in June. Adidas said in a statement, "Today, we became aware that federal investigators arrested an Adidas employee. We are learning more about the situation. We are unaware of any misconduct and will fully cooperate with authorities to understand more." Louisville's interim president, Gregory C. Postel, confirmed his university's involvement in the investigation. "While we are just learning about this information," Postel said in a statement, "this is a serious concern that goes to the heart of our athletic department and the university." He added that Louisville was committed to ethical behavior and adherence to N.C.A.A. rules. Payments were discussed for other players' families as well, the complaint says, including one who had not yet begun his junior year of high school and another who was to receive $150,000 to enroll at a college whose description matches the University of Miami, another Adidas-sponsored college. Miami said in a statement that it 2. Would cooperate with investigators if asked. The coach of an Adidas-sponsored grassroots team in Florida, a pre-college squad outside of the high school structure, was among those charged. In the first scheme, one complaint charged that Chuck Person, the associate head coach at Auburn, abused his coaching position to solicit and obtain